I wanted to make sure I got to this thing. Sixers, like I said, back in action tonight against the Orlando Magic in South Philly. Here's what I got on Kobe. And I'm 38 years old. And when I was watching that finals run, and they play the Lakers, and they go into overtime, and Iverson drops 50, and the step over and the whole thing, I was like 17, 18 years old. And I'm in high school, and I'm at like the peak of my Sixers fandom and loving AI and all that. And I wanted to see the Philly kid, Kobe Bryant, Philadelphia area kid against Kobe Bryant. And I wanted to see that matchup and wanted to see AI versus that Lakers team. And I always say this whenever I get the chance to talk about it. That year, it was a party at everybody's house. Everybody, every night, it was a different party at somebody's house watching that finals run, going through the playoffs against the Bucks and the Raptors and the Pacers and all that. And then going up to face Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal and Robert Horry and all those guys of the Lakers. And I just remember thinking, man, like this guy's from Philly, lived in Italy a little bit, and I admired his game, and watching Jordan through the real really idolizing basketball players and Michael Jordan and all that. It was like a copy and paste. And I know this has been said a lot since Kobe has passed, but I always just felt like it was a copy and paste situation where if I didn't get a chance to watch Jordan and I wanted to see somebody play that same exact style of basketball and have that same exact competitive edge, I would say, oh, you didn't see Jordan? Watch Kobe. It's the closest thing you'll get to it. And I really miss watching that style because that style doesn't exist in basketball anymore. As everyone knows by now, it's all about three-pointers and it's all about shooting like that nowadays. But watching that style of guys slash, even Allen Iverson slashing, getting to the rim, getting fouled, getting the N1, you really don't see that anymore in the NBA because it's all about the outside shot. But I love that style of Michael Jordan, and I loved watching that style with Kobe Bryant. But back to being more personal with it, I hated Kobe. I hated the Lakers. I wanted the Sixers to take it to them. I knew they weren't going to. But being at that age and that just submerged in fandom, I just hated that Lakers team. And when Kobe made the comment of, I don't care how big your heart is, I want to cut your heart out. And I know the counter to that comment, and that's what he said about Philadelphia, where he grew up. And I know that a lot of people at the time say, oh, if that's our guy, we love that. And the thing is, it was kind of our guy. It was a guy that grew up here. And I hated that comment. And I hated on Kobe forever because of that. And you know what? I still hate it. I still hate that comment. And I'll still not accept it and all that. But, man, I always thought for the longest time, Kobe was more so a kid from Italy than he was a kid from Lower Merion. And I'll tell you what his passing did. And I always respected Kobe Bryant. Like I just said, I put him on the same level in terms of how we played the game, like Michael Jordan. I put him on that same level. But when he passed, and in the tragic way that it happened, I'll never forget, I was at my brother's house, and I was just scrolling on my phone. We had a little family get-together. And I'm scrolling on my phone, and I just go, oh, my God, Kobe Bryant died. And it was like everyone in the room, what? No. What? And, of course, the way most things happen now, it's TMZ, and you're not sure what to believe right out of the gate, and you didn't know if his whole family was on the helicopter. And after that moment, as everybody did, you reflected on Kobe's life. And I hope you got to listen to some of the interviews that I did at the time with people that knew Kobe personally. And I got a chance to meet him at an event about a year before he passed. And he was just great with everybody. He was at Overbrook High School. And he was just talking to people, talking to kids about reading, the importance of reading, and the book that he was writing and all that. And getting to talk to guys like Mark Jackson, former Sixer, Temple Owl as well. You see him on NBC, and getting to talk to guys like Jim Lynam, same thing, and seeing him on NBC, and talking to other guys, Joey Crawford, a former ref in the NBA, Daryl Reynolds, NBA or Villanova star, Lower Merion guy, and hearing the impact that Kobe had on Philadelphia as he was that up-and-coming player. Hearing the legends of him taking it to Jerry Stackhouse at St. Joe's, back when Jerry Stackhouse was a Sixer, and how he was just dominating as this like teenage kid, dominating as like a 12-year-old kid playing at McGonigal Hall. And I remember that comment. I go back to the comment about cut your heart out and, if that's our guy. Well, that was a big Philly moment, if you will, for Kobe Bryant. And although I think a lot of people took it like I took it, where you felt like he was separating himself from Philly, it was like, no, that's what a Philly kid would say. Like, he doesn't care how big your heart is. He wants to cut your heart out. Like, that was a very Philly moment now that I look back on it. And as I learned more about Kobe and learned about those pickup games he would play at McGonigal Hall or pickup games he'd play at St. Joe's, and listen to a guy like Phil Martelli talk about Kobe Bryant coming in to work out all hours of the day to make sure he put his work in. That right there is exactly what we're proud of in Philadelphia. We're proud of a blue-collar work ethic, and that is essentially what Kobe Bryant had. And watching him take it to the next level in the NBA and 5 championships and watching him refine his game and add things to his arsenal was so unbelievably Jordan-like. And overall, my point is, what I realized after Kobe Bryant passed away was just how Philadelphia he was, when for the longest time, I thought he tried to separate himself from the Philadelphia mentality and from the Philadelphia fandom and from the area as much as he possibly could. When underneath it all, he was still doing everything he could for his high school locally in Lower Merion, and he was still doing a lot for the community here in Philadelphia. And man, the watching his show, the movie I think he made, The Muse, where he talked about trying to get reintegrated with the Philadelphia lifestyle after coming back from his father playing overseas. It was really wild. And listening to all the stories after he passed away about just how Philadelphia he was and how much Philadelphia was in him, it was almost shocking to me as a guy that just kind of followed his career as a Laker and only really found out about him being so true to the city of Philadelphia after the fact. And if I have a regret, it's that I didn't know. I mean, sure, I knew about him at Lower Merion and all that, but you have to understand at the same time, there was a letter I remember the mayor wrote at the time, John Street, to Kobe Bryant about how he is from Philly and all that other stuff. And people was like, no, he's from Lower Merion. He ain't a Philly kid. Man, if he ain't from Philly, he's certainly from Philly basketball. And aside from just being an NBA fan and watching him play and all that, man, I'm really going to miss that style. And I'm hoping at some point the NBA goes back to that style of basketball where I like the three-pointer will start to go a little bit more out of date, and people like Joel Embiid actually plays a similar style in terms of trying to get to the rim to get fouled and go to the line and get the N1. That nobody really plays like that in the NBA anymore, but then again, he's a center, so he can do it a little bit different. But I would love to see the NBA go back and have that type of guy like an Allen Iverson or a Kobe Bryant or a Michael Jordan, where I'm just talking about style of play. I'm not saying there's going to be those people growing on trees, but just that style of basketball. And watching Kobe Bryant play, there was an art to it.